As usual, thank you for clicking on my channel. And tonight I want to have a very complex discussion about the H1-B visa. And I also want to ask the question, what is the argument? What is the argument to the H1-B visa? Maybe you're new to this subject. Well, prepare, you're about to learn today. So first of all, basically, if you're an immigrant and you're coming from another country, you get to America, you get, if you're a pop star, you get a special type of visa. If you're an author or some type of thing like that, you get a different type of visa. If you're just marrying some girl and you want to go move there, you might get some other type of visa or something. Or if you're coming in as a worker, you get like a worker visa or something like that. So basically what it is in a nutshell, they would much rather have you be in limbo for like 10-15 years waiting for your citizenship. But people that have options, they're not going to sit there and play a game of, oh, I got to sit here and jump through hoop after hoop after hoop. Or, hey, I'm this really rich person and I'm not going to play the game of waiting in line, so I think I'll just take my money elsewhere. So in order to expedite the immigration process, they have special type of permits that you can come under certain pretexts. Now, the argument is that Trump is not going to bring in any more immigrants because he wants to be America first, and his whole theory of running was, we're going to shut down the border, we're going to get immigration under control. To now Elon Musk, JD Vance, who is the vice president, and JD Vance's big backer, Peter Thiel. So you have Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, like two modern, updated, staying with the times versions of Bill Gates, basically. So if you're wondering, you're like, well, what does Elon got to do with any of this? And what does Peter Thiel got to do with any of this? It's that they are basically the new Bill Gates, and they have it honed in how to get their marketing right and their PR right. Example of someone who's a billionaire that has very bad PR is Mark Zuckerberg. The guy is basically pretty toxic. No one really wants to be associated with him. And whenever someone says they're dealing with Mark Zuckerberg, it's a little weird. So now we know who the key players are. Now, the issue is that Elon Musk, for Twitter, and these companies, they want to bring in this H1-B or HB1 visa to bring in a lot of Indians, because India has a huge population, and they have a lot of engineers. And if you look at the average wage of the Indian engineer, it's like $8,500 American in India. So they make $8,500 in India, where they'd probably be making around anywhere from, I would say, from 60,000 to like 300,000-400,000. Who knows how much engineers makes? Like it's a pretty big spectrum. So a lot of people have been freaking out that how come Trump is now wanting to bring in more immigrants, because that goes against everything that the base thinks they voted for. So the argument, what's the argument? The argument is that, well, Americans, they don't work hard, and they're lazy, and they're not smart enough, so we need to bring in the immigrants. The argument is, as Vivek would say, that before they used to value the valedictorian, or the valedictorian should be more praiseworthy. But it's the homecoming king and queen that's the center spotlight. Instead of glorifying the nerd, they glorify the jock. So different cultures, different countries, different values. Some have advanced, some have primitive, some have orthodox, some have left, some have right. It's a whole bunch of different mindsets on what's popular and what's deemed essential for society. But Vivek said that ever since the 90s, the Americans have been very glorifying of being a subpar student, of being a failure, of not tying your shoes, of just kind of being like, whatever, man. And that mentality has led to a level of mediocrity, which doesn't bode well for big tech. And in order for big tech to win, in order for them to get what they need done, they need these workers. And it just so happens the whole big thing here is that they're all coming from India. Then what's the argument? What's the other side of the argument? The other side of the argument is that, oh, well, we have American workers. Why can't we just employ an American? The argument is, why would you hire someone that will do, let's say, even 30% more? Let's not say double. Let's not even say 50%. Let's just say 30% more. And they'll do it for way less money. Why would you hire an American? That's the other argument. The other argument is, well, if we don't use the Indian, then China will take them, and then they'll be the big country. So what do we do? The argument is, well, you see, you bring in Yao Ming on the team, and you bring in Djokovic, you bring in all these guys, and you need the creme de la creme to succeed. What's the issue here? The other argument is that these are not the craziest elite of the elite. These are average level workers that will just come and do the work more for way less, probably. That's what economics is. It's how do we extract more from less? Something from nothing. So it's an interesting argument. Now I think that's it. Now we know what the argument is, but I will leave it on this. When I was way younger, my uncle used to tell me, he was a very smart man, he was very educated, and he has a lot of these letters, a lot of letters past his name. He's a very lettered man. Okay, he told me, he said, hey buddy, you want to go to college or university? These kids are coming from the other side of the world. They're 10 times harder working, and they're basically 10 times smarter. So, millennials can't afford houses today. Don't want to. Just don't even bother anymore. Just forget it. So these are the $1 million arguments as to should we just be the best by bringing in everyone else and perpetuating more immigration, or is it time to say enough is enough and we don't want any more immigrants in, but maybe we will gladly have to take a little bit of a economic lower our rank a little bit, from being the best and being miserable. Why don't we just be all right and we're happy? So these are the arguments, right? The arguments are that it's ultra competitive, and they have different value systems. Not saying better, not saying worse. They have different value systems around the world, and it's a competitive market now. Think if you use your head, India, 1.4 billion people, or 2 billion people, or whatever the number is, most English speaking people in the world. What's the number one biggest Christian country in the world in terms of numbers? Think about it. Nigeria. So a lot of the status quo of what, like, a very Eurocentric, all around the world, it's the Europeans, whatever they're doing, it's the best. It's what's right is right. It's a different time now. And it's not me to say, is it better? Is it worse? That's irrelevant. But there is definitely shifts happening, and this stuff doesn't come out of a vacuum. Thank you, and please subscribe.